Hey everybody, it is a special video today on Friday, September 26th, and I was contacted by Will from D&D Shorts about a charity event that's on right now, and it is Power Word Meal, and there is a link down in the comments. I'll pin a comment with the link to the event, and it is going to include a big giveaway, so basically you can donate as little as 85 cents and you get a whole bunch of stuff. So I had a list here of things I am not allowed to do, so I better go over it to make sure I don't make any mistakes. So it says, don't post before the fundraiser launches. So if all went well, this posted after the fundraiser launched. No political endorsements. All right. So I cannot ask you to vote for me for president of the world. Not saying not to do it, right? I'm allowed to say that, but I'm not allowed to ask you to do it. No graphic imagery. Now, on this channel, I normally don't show graphic imagery anyway, so that's probably not a concern. If you want to see graphic imagery, go to OnlyFans and look up Treant Monk Titties, and you will find lots of graphic imagery there. Do not refer to the campaign as a raffle. So this campaign, not a raffle. Absolutely not a raffle. Can you win a bunch of prizes? Sure. Not a raffle. And no personal attacks. Do not engage in arguments or personal attacks with commenters or other creators. So if I happen to say notice that Will from D&D Shorts looks a lot like Red Green if he dyed his hair, I can notice that, but I can't say it. So I'm not going to say it. So Power Word Meal is partnered with Share the Meal, and basically anything you donate goes to Share the Meal, and it is partnered with the United Nations to deliver food to people who need it, and basically one meal at a time. This is a long-standing charity with very, very good reviews. I took a look, so it has a very good record. You don't have to worry about where your donation is going. And not a raffle. Not a raffle, but there is a giveaway, and basically if you donate, you have a chance to win a big list that I'm not going to go through because it's big, but I'm going to scroll down. There it is. You could win any of this stuff, and basically I think anytime you donate a meal, you get one entry in this non-raffle to win one of these things. Or you could, if you donate multiple meals, win multiple things. But no matter what you donate, you will be getting a whole bunch of stuff. So you will allow them to send something to your email, and they will send you a PDF that includes a one-shot adventure. It includes a whole bunch of maps that you can use on your VTT or print out. And it is also going to include a playable species called the Powgarfoot. So I figured I'd go over those as the content for this video, and then I'll let you click the link at the bottom if you're interested in donating to this good cause. So it says, making their home in temperate mountainous forests of Avestros, Powgarfoot are an ursine race of humanoids. Hulking, sociable, and independent, they typically prefer to keep out of conflict, unfettered by the politics and warfare of other species. So no politics. Not telling you to vote for me for president of the world. All are welcome in a Powgarfoot village, free to stay as long as they wish and free to take as much food as they desire. Powgarfoot find enormous pleasure in food. Eating, cooking, sharing, and storing it are acts of delight and great cultural significance. All events, be they funerals, weddings, birthdays, weekends, or weekdays, are marked with a great feast. Their cuisine is famous across the land as delicious and eclectic. There is no dish a Powgarfoot will not sample, no person with whom a Powgarfoot will not share, and very few meals they will not enjoy. So let's take a look. We have some artwork. There they are. Might remind you of a certain character that I am not going to mention, just in case there's some kind of legal issue, but you can almost hear Jack Black's voice talking here, and let's take a look at the mechanics. So I'm actually going to give this just an honest review. As a Powgarfoot, you have the following traits. So your size, it says you're naturally hulky, beefy folk, reaching up to 8 feet tall. Your size is medium. And then age, They mature quickly and live slightly shorter lives than humans, with few living beyond 70 years old. And then speed, the base walking speed is 30 feet, and you have a climb speed equal to your walking speed. And then you have clawed paws. You have claws that you can use to make unarmed strikes. When you hit with them, the strike deals 1d6 plus your strength modifier slashing damage instead of the bludgeoning damage normal for unarmed strikes. Delightful appetite. When you spend at least 1 minute eating, you can expend a number of hit dice up to your proficiency modifier. Roll them, add your constitution modifier to the result, and regain that many hit points. Any hit points you regain this way that would exceed your hit point maximum grant you temporary hit points instead, which lasts for 10 minutes. Once you use this feature, you cannot do so again until you finish a short or long rest. And then we have strong stomach. You are immune to the negative effects of poisons, toxins, and other harmful substances you ingest. Resolute mind. You can add your constitution modifier to saving throws made to avoid or end the charmed and frightened conditions. Skilled paws. You have proficiency with cook's utensils in one skill of your choice from among acrobatics, animal handling, athletics, insight, nature, or survival. Powerful build. You count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and the weight you can push, drag, or lift. And languages. You speak common and one other language you feel is appropriate for your character. So that's everything in there. And just a reminder, this is included in the package you get for a donation as little as 85 cents. Now I'm going to give this species just an honest review. I'd like the theme of this species. I think it is undertuned. And I'm just going to go over why I think it's undertuned. So the climb speed equal to your walking speed is nice enough. Then we have the clawed paws, D6 damage plus your strength modifier with unarmed strikes. And I cannot blame them for making the mechanic this way because that's how it's done. If we look at the Tabaxi, if we look at the Centaur, if we look at the Minotaur, they all have these unarmed strikes that do a D6 damage. The issue is if I'm making unarmed strikes, there is a good chance I'm a monk. And then my unarmed strikes are doing 1d6 damage at a minimum. And here we have a feature that will do nothing for me except give me the opportunity to do slashing damage instead of bludgeoning damage, which, let's be honest, almost never makes a difference. What I would like to see, especially like this is a third-party product, so we could be a little more creative, is we don't have to follow the rules that have been set before. How about making these kinds of features do extra unarmed strike damage? Like, if you make an attack with your claws using an unarmed strike, you do +2 damage and the damage type changes to slashing. That would be great. And if I was to be the DM and run this species, that's what I would allow players to do. Feel free to steal these ideas, by the way, if you like them. But that's what I would do. Otherwise, like I said, I can't blame them for putting it this way. But as it is, it just doesn't do much because I'm probably not making unarmed strikes with anyone who's going to benefit from this feature. Then we have Delightful Appetite. This is actually my favorite one, where you get the healing and potential temporary hit points, and it just takes you 1 minute. And you can do it every time you take a short or long rest. The issue I have with this is, first off, when you get the temporary hit points, they are limited to 10 minutes. I don't like that. Now, I was originally thinking maybe they should just last until your next long rest, like most temporary hit points do. But then I'm thinking, well, if it's recovered every time you take a short rest, then what you would do is, if you haven't used it before you take a short rest, then of course you would use it just as you did, and then you would have those temporary hit points until, your next long rest. And maybe that's too much. Maybe that's not too much, to be honest. But what you could say is, instead of 10 minutes, at least make it until you complete your next short rest. Totally reasonable and wouldn't be a problem because it's not a huge amount of temporary hit points. It's only equal to your proficiency modifier, how many hit dice you can expend. Second thing I would do, I'd have it just like spending hit dice during a short rest. So for every die you spend, you add your constitution modifier once. I mean, it's not something you do in the middle of combat. You got to take a minute to do it. So it'd be like healing a little bit because it's limited in number of dice. except it's 1 minute, but otherwise healing a little bit like a short rest. I think that would be fine. I don't think that would be unbalanced at all. You could do both those things. Increase the duration of the temporary hit points and increase the amount of hit points regained. And I think this would still be balanced, but it would be very good. So right now, I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, this is currently dialed to a 4. I think it should be dialed up to a 6. That's my opinion. And like I said, feel free to steal any of my ideas if you get this species and you want to make some modifications. Now, strong stomach is fine, but it's obviously a ribbon. You know, you never take damage from ingesting poisons, or normally don't take damage from ingesting poisons in D&D. So I don't think it's going to be a problem, and I don't think it'll probably come up. But obviously, it makes sense for this particular species to have a trait like this. So it's a ribbon, and it's fine, but I wouldn't expect it ever to come up. Resolute Mind, here is something I really appreciate. So Resolute Mind, if we were to look at any of the species currently in existence for Dungeons & Dragons, you know what this would say. It would say you have advantage on saving throws made to avoid or end the charmed or frightened condition. That's what it would say. And they've done something different here. Yay! So you had your Constitution modifier to the saving throw. I think that makes sense, and I like it. Again, because I think this species could use a little boost, I wouldn't mind seeing an additional condition added here. And I was wondering about something like maybe the poisoned condition or maybe the exhausted condition, something like that, where you add your Constitution modifier to avoid or end those as well. I think you could do that, and this would just be a little bit better, and I think it would, still be well within the realm of what species should be able to do. And then the rest here, we have skilled pause, powerful build languages. They're all fine, right? They're just standard stuff. But what I'd like to see is Resolute Mind boosted a little bit, and I'd like to see Delightful Appetite boosted a little bit in the number of hit points regained, as well as the duration of the temporary hit points. And I'd like to see Clawed Paws do additional damage rather than a base D6 damage. Those would be what I would suggest if you are a DM and you want to use this species in your game. Those would be the modifications I would suggest. Take or leave them at your preference, but one way or the other, remember that any donation of 85 cents or more is going to get you this package that includes this species, but also a one-shot adventure, some new monster stat blocks, a bunch of maps. This would be a great deal if they were selling it for that price, but your money will go towards a worthy cause, as well as giving you the opportunity to win something in what is definitely not a raffle. And otherwise, until next time, I am going to sit back, relax, and have some fun. D&D is for everyone. Link in the pinned comment if you would like to support this event, and I will see you next time.